Let's get into it. We're just going to go straight into it. I have to do a quick stream. I leave in like 3 hours to my flight for Madrid. So that's going to be exciting. Like, obviously, I did this a little bit late. I normally like to do it the week of. But also, I just had a new baby. So it's been pretty hectic here. I actually haven't been able to do a lot of my research yet. I have some of it done, but like the OC and Sam guys, I haven't done a ton yet. But I'll have time over these next few days to complete my research that I want from them. So it'll be a little bit less like in depth maybe for OC and Sam teams. But I'll have that ready for the desk as it comes by. But it's been hectic. It's been battling maybe the flu, I don't know, some super sickness, and having a new baby really leaves you not a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. So, let's get into it. Thank you, Master Cam. Appreciate it. But let's get into it. We'll talk about the format real quick in case people don't know, and then we'll go from there. So, format, double elimination, days 1 and days 2. And then we go into day 3. And I believe Wikipedia has the schedule of how many games are on each day. Let me make sure that's correct. Let me just look at that real quick. I have everything inverted so it doesn't blind your eyes because I didn't want to change this whole sheet. So it's also really weird to look at Wikipedia right now because it's all inverted as well. It's just one of the apps you get on Chrome or whatever to do it, but it inverts every single tab, which is kind of annoying. I thought they had that somewhere. Either way, it's going to be 8 games day 1, 8 games day 2, 5 games day 3. So we'll go through that in a bit here. So yeah, again, double elimination. If you make it to the upper bracket finals, you're into day 3 no matter what. Then you're just playing for, do you get a bye into the semifinals, or do you fall down and go into basically the pseudo lower bracket, I guess you would say. On day 3 in the round of 6. Only 6 teams make it to day 3. So we're back to that format compared to 8, which I personally love because it really gives day 3 like that impact of like you made day 3. That's a huge accomplishment. I felt like when it was 8, not as big of an accomplishment to make it to day 3. And then obviously playoffs are best of 7. You got 5 series here on the final day. So let's just get into it. We'll start with Group A, then go to Group B. Group A, I feel like, is the weaker group. I'm sorry, the better group, I would say, because of you basically got the top 2 teams from OC and Sam. You have Low-Key, who technically got seeded 2, but they dominated the entire season. They fell short at the end, but I think it was more of like they already made it. They also subbed out Card, I believe it was, in their finals. But I think most people coming into this event would say Low-Key is the best Sam team. And then Renegades is your top OCE team. So it should be interesting to see how this all plays out. On the other side, though, for like, it kind of has maybe the weaker or the surprise teams that came out of NA and Europe. The 2 teams everyone thought would come in 8th, E United and Veloce. So one of these teams has to make it to day 3. Which is going to be huge for any of these guys. Because when coming into the season, no one thought E United or Veloce would even be here, and now they are. And Low-Key and Renegades, one of them has the chance to get there. And honestly, this might not be as powerful a group as I thought. Like, I was thinking for some reason that we had some of these other teams in there. Because I think you probably have your best from the other regions, maybe weakest from the power regions. So we'll see how it plays out. But anyway, let's just get into it. Veloce Low-Key. I think this is Veloce's series here. We'll go 3-1. Because Veloce, to me, is a team that capitalizes on mistakes. The other regions make a lot of mistakes. They also can do a lot of good things when they have time, but I feel like there is no team from Europe or North America that's going to give them enough time to be able to do that. So if Low-Key makes any mistakes that, sometimes they are very mechanically gifted, but they still have some errors in their play, Veloce should capitalize on that, and I think they'll win that. E United versus Renegades. I'm going to give this to Renegades. I feel like they just they have to win this series, because if they don't, it's just a miserable season for OCE, or year for OCE. It hasn't been pretty since Drip A left and then came back. Once that happened, all of 2019 has been a complete wash. So it used to be Renegades would come into every single event and at least take one series. And then we went to WSOE, and that streak was broken where they went 0-4 in their group play. And ever since then, OC really hasn't done anything. And Renegades, sure, they're boot camping, and we talk about they are probably the hardest working team, I think, out of any team that goes to a world championship. And that hard work used to pay off, but they boot camped for 2 straight months throughout the summer, and it led to 0 results. It was from the World Championship they boot camped for, and that obviously didn't go their way. And then it was the DreamHack right after it, DreamHack Valencia. So they were here, I think it was more like a month, maybe a month and a half, I think, total. But that boot camp didn't get any results. So, at this point, that hard work and attitude of Renegades maybe won't matter as much. But they have Sicky. He's playing extremely well compared to when they had Zen, where it looked like the nerves kind of hit him hard at the World Championship. Now, to be fair, it looked like it hit the whole team hard. Like I talked about with Torsos, it seems like every time they were letting up a goal, it looked like someone probably kicked his dog across the street. Like, he was miserable. He looked terrible every single time a goal was scored. That's not what you want from your in-game leader or from the leader of this team. Like, you need positive morale. We'll see if they can get it this time. Maybe they've learned some lessons, but I'll give it a 3-1 over E United. And that's probably where I'll stop for OC or Sam, but we'll see. We'll just continue through the top here. These are actually broken, so that's not fun. So I got the sheet off the thing, but these are broken. So E United should be down here. So we'll have to figure that out. That's not a huge deal, though. So Energy versus Veloce. So Energy historically does not like having a bye and then having to play a team that goes into that comes off a win. It happened to them basically season 4, 6, and I believe 2. Not 2, I guess. Season 4 and season 6. It happened in Vegas where they lost. Who'd they lose to again? I'm trying to remember. Let's look it up real quick. But like Garrett was telling me, he actually hated being the number 1 seed because he hated having that bye. Now there's more teams that have byes. They lost to the Chiefs again. So they lost that, then they lost out. They lost to Cloud9 in that Game 5 overtime where they could have won that. But Energy historically doesn't like this spot, but I do think it changes here. I don't think Veloce will be able to keep up with Energy because Energy really doesn't make a ton of mistakes. The only mistakes that you normally see from them is either they kind of overcommit to things, which doesn't happen that often because Turbo is really good as that third man of knowing when to attack. The problem is when Turbo has to play in the goal line and no one's on the back wall, then they get into some trouble there. But I feel like it won't happen that much versus Veloce. So I'll give it to Energy here, a 3-1 as well. Vitality versus Renegades. Vitality is really good. I feel like Renegades always really collapses versus very strong mechanical teams. That's why they always lose to Cloud9. I don't see them doing very well versus Vitality. I think this will be a 3-0. So Energy and Vitality through to day 3. And they will play for Seaton a little bit later. Down here, so this is a little bit confusing, so I apologize. I probably should have grabbed some other Excel sheet, but I didn't realize that he was going to mess these up. Not a huge deal. It should be Low-Key versus Renegades. So it'll be our first ever OCE Sam matchup. So we'll put this one in one of these spots. It doesn't really matter all that much. We'll say E United is Renegades for this. So the problem is if you lose in that first round, then you're in trouble because you have to play a team that either had a bye, that is a really good team, or a team that won in their lower bracket round, so it's going to be a little bit harder of a first-round matchup. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter who you play here because all 4 of these teams have to you have to win out throughout this bracket to make it to day 3, so it's a little bit tough. But for day 1 purposes, it would be all 4 of these games, and then we would have day 2 is all these games and this game. So we're moving on to day 2, basically, for Group A. We'll do all Group A, and then we'll come back and we'll do Group B. So, Low-Key and, I was about to say E United versus Renegades. It'd be really fun to see, basically, the 2 number 1s from Sam and OC battling it out. I'm going to give this to Low-Key. I'm going to see, Renegades might tilt a bit coming off that loss. Low-Key is going to be kind of scrimming maybe, or like more positive, like, hey, we're here, we're having some fun. And I think the pressure could hurt Renegades here. And I think South America, they probably looked better at the last World Championship. I'm not sure if that's the case going to be coming into here. But I don't know. Like, I think the pressure could get to Renegades, so I'll give it to Loki. The other match would be Veloce and E United. And maybe I'm just doing this so it actually works out, and this bracket looks a little bit better. Loco Flips, thank you for the big dono, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Let's see what he has to say. So that was a really, really long comment.
Makes me sad and happy thinking about these past few RL years. You've had 2 beautiful children. Congrats on the second
Thank you.
BTW.
It's weird
We've
having
seen
this
scrub grow up,
having this
physically at
person
next
talk to me.
level, and we've lost some players. Rip, and a bunch of great iconic moments. Love.
Hey, thank you, Loco. Appreciate it, man. It's been a wild ride, and we're still going. We're still going strong. We're going to keep doing this forever. So we got Veloce, because they lost down here. They would come down here, versus E United. I'll give it to Veloce just so this bracket looks a little cleaner. I'm not sure. I think I might give it to Veloce, because, you know, I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to believe in Veloce. We'll go a 3-2 over E United. I know it's wrong. Don't bother me. Excuse me. Low Key versus Veloce to round it out. We get a rematch from earlier. We talked about this matchup already. I think Veloce is the better team. I think Veloce makes it to day 3. So they'll be the first into the bracket. Moving on to Energy Vitality. So this will be a matchup that doesn't have as many stakes because both teams are into day 3, but the seeding is so important. Either way, both of these teams, if they make it this far, will be on opposite sides of the bracket, so you don't have to worry about them playing until the finals, if that is the case. I'm gonna go Energy here because it's not day 3 Vitality yet. So we'll go Energy. We'll go a 3-2 because why not? So it'll be a close series, but I think Energy takes the cake there. It'll be fun to see Turbo versus K-Dop in that matchup. Moving on. We'll talk about this bracket in a little bit. These are right at least. Veloce should be on the same side as Energy, so the playoff bracket will be fine. It's just the lower bracket's a little bit messed up. I could probably actually just fix it, but whatever. Actually, why not? Let's just do that real quick. So it should have been Low Key versus Renegades. Okay, and United down here. Boom. There we go. All right. Look at that. I can fix stuff on the fly. All right. Moving on. Hopefully that didn't break anything else. It doesn't look like it did. Group B. Now, Group B, I think, is the one bracket. Now, this is actually probably the harder bracket, in my opinion, to see who comes out. Because I do think Space Station and Dig are probably both better than Veloce and E United. Sorry, I can't think right now. But I think they have easier first round matchups. So I think the first round games relatively boring. After that, whatever. But we'll see. We have Canberra Havoc here. Canberra Havoc, as Cammy would say, they brought one OCE team to Worlds. It was kind of half banter, but half the truth. Canberra Havoc, though, don't count them out. They beat all 3 of the top 3 from OCE throughout the season at different times. So they can at least play. They were 0-7 the season prior. So they've obviously grown a lot. And that's actually a good sign for OCE that, like, maybe there is depth there. Like, I think there's still most of the players on those top 3 teams feel like scrims are a little bit wasted to play with the other OCE teams. From what I've heard, just because there is a big gap. But Canberra Havoc, they obviously closed that gap this season. But I don't expect them to do much here at all. I think Space Station, that they're going to be just so much faster than Canberra Havoc, and the 1v1 plays from Space Station are going to eat them alive. And I think Canberra Havoc doesn't really stand too much of a chance there. Next up, Dignitas and the Three Sins. The Three Sins, your Sam #1 seed. You have to give them some credit, but I do think Dig has kind of found their form coming in. Dig is one of those teams where they were a scary team last season. A lot of people thought they would make the World Championship. People didn't want to play them last season. And I think people were still respecting them a lot this season. I was talking to Yummy, and he was saying, like, based on scrims, they didn't want to play Dig, that they would have rather seen Barcelona. So So Dig, obviously, they took Rec 2-7 games. They're looking pretty strong now. It's obviously about, can they hit their shots? Can Astro in his first World Championship pop off? That's obviously key factors. But I do think they shouldn't have too hard of a time versus 3 Sins. And I'll give them a 3-0 as well. So let's move 3 Sins down here. Actually, we'll just wait until the other ones get moved in. Reciprocity versus Space Station. So I do think that we saw, like, at the top here, where neither of those teams, without playing a warm-up, lost. But I do think it could happen down here pretty easily. Because these teams are a lot closer, in my opinion. And I think Reciprocity, that they're a great team, but every time they showed like they're like the best team in the world, Shawset has to pop off. Every single time they look like world class, like best team, like it's always Shawset doing a hard carry. So if he's quiet at all, then Reciprocity turns into a normal team. Like I feel like Farrah and Fruity are both good players, but like the reason why I always call Shawset the best player in the world is because I feel like he's not surrounded by as much talent maybe as some of the other players. Now Farrah, he had a great season. I feel like Fruity was doing what he had to do throughout the season. But again, it's not something that stands out. Farrah, though, very aggressive throughout the season. Like kind of different from last season where he was shooting a lot and shooting well. This season, a lot more aggression that we talk about with that new meta. A lot of demo plays. But I think this could be a surprise upset here. And I'm going to go Space Station, a 3-1, because I think they're going to catch him off guard. And Reciprocity will fall down to the lower bracket. Now, Dignitas, Pittsburgh Knights. I think the exact same thing can happen. Now, Dignitas is a very good defensive team. That was what kept them in a lot of series when they shot the second worst shooting percentage in RLCS history throughout the season. They obviously cleaned that up in the playoffs, but they're a very good defensive team. Can Pittsburgh Knights disrupt that in their first World Championship when they haven't played a series yet? And I get it. They went to DreamHack Day 3. Fantastic. That's nothing like a world championship. I think Dignitas can come in here and surprise. And I think Dignitas wins that one as well. Space Station, obviously, like it's their first world championship as well. But there's no better matchup that you would want than Canberra Havoc. Because I do think they're the weakest team here at the world championship. So that's a great warm-up game to get those nerves out. Then after that, like I think most teams, like after the first series, are like, all right, let's just play our game. So that's where I'm going with this. A little bit more of an upset group, in my opinion. We'll just finish this out. Dig versus Space Station. I'm going to go Dig. I think their defense can hold up against this very aggressive North America playstyle that we've been seeing a lot of. And, you know, like, I'm going to go Dig. I'm going to go Dig here. So Dig will get that bye in the playoffs. And then we'll move down here. So it should be Canberra Havoc versus the Pittsburgh Knights. So I'll just equals him out. Boom. And Reciprocity versus the 3 Sins. So, Canberra Havoc, again, I think they're the weakest team here. So, I'm going to go, I'll give them a game. So, 3-1. Reciprocity versus 3 Sins. I don't think will be too much of an issue either. And then we got Pittsburgh Knights versus Reciprocity. And I came into the season, like throughout league play, throughout like week 5 or so. I'm sorry, you can't see it. There you go. Where I thought NA looked better throughout the season than EU. And this is my pick right here that's going to kind of tip the scales towards North America maybe a bit, where I think Pittsburgh Knights will come out and take down Reciprocity. Because again, I think if Shawset, if he doesn't get going, if he doesn't have that space, they could get in trouble. I think Pittsburgh Knights can deny that space, and I think Pittsburgh Knights takes the victory. And Reciprocity is the first major upset to fall in the round of 12, I guess you would call it. So they won't make it to day 3. So we got Pittsburgh Knights. Moving on. And here's our bracket. Here's what it's looking like. Energy will play the winner of Space Station and Veloce, best of 7s here. Vitality, Pittsburgh Knights. Winner plays Dignitas. So, I think we're going to have an all NA and all EU semifinal. I think Space Station comes out, takes down Veloce. So I think Space Station, it's possible that they make a lot of mistakes. Very possible. But I do think that Space Station will be coming off like a pretty high by beating Reciprocity. And I do think that, again, that 1v1 ability from Space Station. I love what Arsenal's been doing on this team. He just kind of disrupts everyone in the front. Everyone's talking about Typical. Had a fantastic season, but I think none of that happens without his teammates, and none of that happens without Arsenal really disrupting the front. And I think Space Station can dismantle Veloce a bit, and I think Space Station will take the win there. Vitality, Pittsburgh Knights. This was tough. We have the rematch of the semifinals of DreamHack, where Pittsburgh Knights were mostly worried about Vitality. They thought they had it after they beat Vitality, is what they said. Do we want 3? This is tough. This is tough. You know what? I'm going to change it up. Pittsburgh Knights with the upset over Vitality again. I don't know if it's much of an upset but at this point, but I think Pittsburgh Knights comes out and wins it. My one issue with Vitality lately is Scrub Killer. He's very overconfident that his teammates will be able to get him the ball. That's something I've been seeing a lot of, and it gets them in trouble a decent amount, where Scrub will be like, all right, I can move up the field, because Kate up at Fairy Peak is going to hit a great boomer to me, and I don't have to worry about anything. And I feel like that's kind of their whole team, where they love to rotate, but they love to respect or to think that their teammate will always make the right play. And I think that gets them in trouble here or there. And again, like if Pittsburgh Knights are in their face, they won't have as much time to make those pristine touches, those pristine passes. And I could see them trying to be a little overconfident or trying to push up just a little bit too much. And then Reynolds comes in, he gets a 50-50 dunk, and it's all over. Like it'll be close, obviously. Like I think Vital's a great team. But I think Pittsburgh Knights takes that victory. Now, moving on. This leaves Energy and Space Station. I think Energy is just better. It's that simple. Like, Energy doesn't have to play the meta. Like, people talk about this new meta, but Energy, like, all season long, they were like, we don't need a demo. It was them and, like, E United who really didn't demo a lot throughout the season. They both actually made it here, which is surprising, for E United at least. But Energy was just like, you know what? We'll play our game. We're just that good. Like, Justin's that good. We'll give him the ball. He'll do what he wants. Garrett's up front now, disrupting. Turbo's playing a great third-man rotation. It's like, I don't think there's much of a chance for Space Station here. Now, if Energy is to play a European team, who knows? Maybe that changes a bit. They obviously play Vitality earlier, so that could be a loss, and this could change this entire bracket. But I'm going to go Energy there to make it to the finals. Dignitas versus Pittsburgh Knights. Ooh. I didn't think I would have Pittsburgh Knights this far. And they played earlier, did they? Yeah, they played earlier with the Dignitas warm-up series. At this point, though, Knights are warmed up. They're hot. It's the complete opposite on day 3, where Dignitas will come in cold. Personally, like I don't think it matters that much to come in cold after you've played already a game on some other day. But we'll give this to the Knights. Why not? We'll have an all-NA final. I think I called an all-NA final last time, too. Maybe my bias is starting to show here a bit. But I think NA has been the better region throughout the season. Like, regional championship, I think Europe, they look better than what they showed all league play. And obviously, you know, that they'll be boot camping. And I think that's the one thing I have to worry about is, one, experience on NA. And, like, no one's really boot camping. Energy is, but I think Knights aren't, Space Station's not, and E United's not. So it could be a little bit rough for them. So this could be a tall order. But, like, I predicted them to win last time, and Energy didn't do it. I'm just going to keep doing it until they win. Until they finally win. Energy, sorry. I have to curse you. We'll go 4-3 because we always want to see a Game 7. Energy, like, this is the World Championship that they should win, right? When looking across the board, we have 17 first-time World Championship players at this event. Energy clearly doesn't have any of those. There's only 5 World Champion players at this event. Energy has one of them in Turbo. Like, I think the main teams that they're probably going to be watching out for are probably Vitality and Reciprocity. Are their 2 worries, I think, Energy. Like, they should not lose to the other teams in NA. They shouldn't. They've showed this season that they shouldn't lose to them. So they shouldn't lose when they have all the experience in the world at the World Championship. That they shouldn't lose to those teams. European teams, they've had some hard times with. This match right here is going to be key, where Energy has to come in cold once again, and they don't like doing that, and they normally lose to the lesser teams there. But Energy, I think they survived that game. I think they can take down Vitality. But who knows? We'll have to see. Again, best of sevens here. But I think Energy wins it. And I think our third place tie are Dignitas and Space Station. Pittsburgh Knights, they come in second. So we'll have NA getting 3 of the top 4. Vitality, a 5th. Veloce, a 5th in a maybe a weaker bracket to come out of, in the lowers at least, with Veloce and E United down there. But we'll see if Low-Key or Renegades, let's see if they can make some moves. Sam and OC didn't look that great at the last World Championship. But the one thing is, like, people say Sam did well, but at the end of the day, their 1 seed didn't do anything. And that there was one series that went to 5 versus NRG in their first series. So, again, Energy is usually a slow start. I don't think Sam did exceptionally well. Like, I think it was more of people were just hyped to see them at a World Championship. And we'll see if they can take it to them. But I do think that NA and Europe are just better. And we'll see if that continues here. I really want to see this matchup, though. Low-Key versus Renegades. That matchup should be juicy. Basically, the 2 top teams from those regions. We never get to see those matchups. We were hoping to see maybe 1 or 2. Last time, it would have been hard to happen. Now, all they need is one of those teams to win 1 game or 1 match, and then we would have that. I'm trying to see what Sam did last time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the INTC won 2 games. Low-Key went 0-6. So INTZ in 1 series played well. Besides that, they got swept in every single other series. So I do think Sam is still a ways away from being able to compete, but who knows? They did try and move people around to make some super teams. Same thing with Renegades. They moved some people around, try and make a super team. It worked out for them. It didn't work out so much for the Chiefs. But also Renegades weren't pretty all season long either. So we'll see what happens. Should be a very exciting World Championship. I hope you guys, if you're there, make sure you come say hi. I'll be walking around before the days begin. Usually, because I think tours open at 1. I'll probably try and get out there from 1:30 to 2:30. Probably not to 2:30, but I'll try and be out there from 1:30 to 2 at least. Trying to sign stuff, and I'll try and sign stuff at the end of the days as well. But yeah, there you go. That is who's going to win it. You don't have to watch now, but just watch anyway, because it'll be hype. It'll be some cool goal to end it. All right? So make sure you do it. Yeah, that's going to do it here. I have to leave in 2 hours at this point for Madrid. It's actually not that bad of a flight for me. It's 7 hours. Not that bad. There's no transfers, so I'm not too worried about the flight. I've been sick, though. I'm trying to get over my sickness, so we'll see how that is. But we'll post this probably right away. Why not? We'll just post it on Monday. I wanted to put out a schedule of, when is everyone playing and why they're playing in certain spots. But that's not released yet for the public. I helped them out a little bit on that. And there's reasoning behind every single matchup, but we can't talk about that yet because it's not released yet. So we'll just have this video. I was hoping to have 2 videos this week, but it's not going to happen. So just make sure you say on YouTube why I'm wrong, who's going to win, why Europe is the best, why Gibbs, why do you always hate on Europe, even though I'm probably the least biased caster, because I always pick Europe. But not this time. I think NA is slightly better. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll stay here on stream for a little bit, but yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.